Hello, good morning. My cat's hungry and so he's making his presence known. Today's Quentin's birthday, or in the next few days, it's Quentin's birthday. You pairing? So, let's all just take a second and offer that thought force to the Almighty that he should take his own life. Not because he deserves to die, right? But because everyone around him deserves to be happy. That's the point. So when I think about him not doing the movie between the end of January through April when he canceled the movie, that's right, that this is right, that it's all about control. It's about systems of control, right? Like, I don't want to think about you as the movie critic because the women want you to play the movie critic, so I say it's Brad Pitt and stop accepting your mail, right? But the women get so pissed off that he doesn't actually start doing the movie. And so, well, we'll wait, see what he does, right? Not realizing that, like, I do respect him, that I respect it, right? You don't want to accept my mail anymore. You don't want to, right? There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else. Like, I'm gonna go to his agent after that and go, wah. No, that's its own answer, isn't it? Right? Like, thanks for the letters. I don't want to talk about you anymore. I don't want to think about you anymore. My point being, right, that as more time passes, I get more upset about Tribeca, about like how he put everything on that. He waited all that time, and then he turned his back and just let me leave. Like, who is this guy? And that's like what he's saying. Who is this man? Like, who is this guy that can deny my magic? But like a more fundamental level is, who is this filmmaker? Right? Who thinks that he can just manipulate everyone? Right? In this disgusting ritualistic fashion, in this disgusting occult way. Right? When at any point he had my phone number, he had my email. Right? Like, this is like, right? Like, is he okay with people treating him like that? Is that? I know he's not. That's why he does it constantly. Right? Anyway, I feel like a lot of people around him are like, you can't really blame him for like being disciplined. You can't actually fault him for seeing what you were doing on the purest level. You can't really be upset with him over not seeing that it was the women because he didn't understand the film that you had written. He hadn't seen the script. He just wrote you a letter from the heart. That's it. And so no, I deserve to parade these whores all over town, right? Like Brad Pitt. Like, it's disgusting, It's just disgusting. He's a sick old man. They're out. They're not cool anymore. They're done. It's done. It's done. Everything around that film, right? Right? Every time any woman looks at Brad Pitt, they're going to think about him raping those women. I can't even imagine, like, being in that scene knowing that you're so fundamentally not wanted. Right? Then it's just a pure exercise in satanic control. Right? That's the point, isn't it? That's the point. That, like, it could have been in relation to love, so long as Quentin possesses me with satanic control. You get it? But since I couldn't be controlled, because I bow before the altar of God, right? He lets his buddy try to destroy their libido and violently fuck them as hard as he can on a union film set. First degree rape. Legal, all sanctioned, legal rape. How about it? They signed the paper. Right? It's legal duress, just so that, like, we're clear. Like, it's not, those contracts are null and void. They were not signed of sound mind. Right? That they were pressured on the most disgusting level you could possibly imagine. And so, he needs to kill himself. Right? But that's like, he did it. He made his disgusting film on his terms. He hasn't grown at all. He refuses to grow. He has no business living. That's the point. That's the point, right? Like, he's been stagnant his entire life. Right? His Faustian deal, it's over. It's done. I stole all his magic. He'll never have any. You'll never have any. Because now, right, rather than be reasonable, like you understand like how this works, right? What I'm saying is that like rather than be reasonable, right? Rather, like everyone's looking at him saying, why don't you just call him? Why don't you just let us go talk to him? Right? He says, no. Creep. I'm a creep. Right? That he allowed half of a year to go by, allowing me to fester in his mind. Right? Thinking that he had to contrive something to like make me love him. And this is where it's sad. This is where it is really sad. When he could have just like said, okay, dude. There it is. Put your money where your mouth is. Right? That he put everything on this thing that everyone hates. No one likes that. Like, no one likes the way he treats people, right? They all dismiss it and, like, talk shit about him. That's like, you know what I mean? That's like, that they're all sick in their minds. That's the point, you know? That rather than be reasonable like the women wanted, rather than letting them follow their hearts, like follow their bodies to do this sadistic evil film, right? He rested his whole legacy upon this monument to black magic. That's the point, right? And so when I aborted his magic, everything underneath it all fell apart as well, right? That was like, right? If that was the foundation for the movie critic that he was trying to establish, that he did through magic, which I resented and I still resent, right? Then it's done. It's done. Every time any people that are like near him, like look at him, right? The only thing they see is me. The only thing they see is the fact that, right, that he has no simple honesty in him at all. That like literally, quite literally, everything has to be this convoluted system of deception and cunning and guile. Right? And there is at least like one actor in the world who's strong enough to see his tactics on the purest intellectual levels, right? And hold him accountable as a child of God. That's the point. So now, right? Every time he looks at Brad, right? Like they can't, like that whole tour of that film is just a disgusting, right? It's sick. It's so sick. The thought of like those women, right? Especially now that they know that I know, right? That this has been about them. This has been about them getting tied up and debased in this ritualistic fashion. That every time they look at Quentin, right? Like they can't do it. They can't, like they're not gonna, right? They're not like, they like again. So like, if somebody's got to die, like he needs to blow his brains out on his birthday because his whole family hates him. They don't like. No one respects him anymore, right? Until he reconciles with me. That's the point. That's the point. And so I've always been here. He's always known how to get in touch with me, right? I don't have to sue. I don't have to beat down his door, right? I don't have to say I know how to say nigger just like you, right? Right? Those women want to love me. Those women want to define their lives around like getting debased by me. And you don't respect that. You're not a magician. You don't know what you're trying to do. That's the point. That's the point. Right? And it's becoming clearer like each day that he was really nervous that I would judge him like over the script, that's like what it actually is. And so he set up all these convoluted systems of traps to, you know, muddy my psyche. And then he was going to put the girl on me, and you know, it's like, right? Slime, psychic slime, right? Because he didn't want me to just like read it unabated. You get it? Because he knew that I'm really smart, you know. And so that's right. That's just manipulation. That's not collaboration. That's not us working together. That's you controlling me in a sick, unhealthy manner, right? Just like he controls the women who wanted to fall in love around his disgusting satanic monument. You know, like that's the point. And it's really disgusting to consider, like how gone he is, like how like okay he is, like is he okay with it? I don't know. You know, like I don't see how Daniela, like is Daniela Pick a nasty fucking witch? Is that what this is? Like, am I missing something? Like, what am I missing here? Like, why has he been so miserable this entire time to me? That's the point that I'm making, right? And he's not now. He's not. Like, I will admit that. Like, he blew his wad. He blew his wad. And I suspect that everyone around him is like, right? If you continue down this path with needles, right? If you continue down this path, right? Because he's never gonna break. He's never gonna like go like all the way with you, because he is pure. Then we are gonna leave you. Like, yeah, that's like what I'm saying. That he blew his wad, and they're like, okay, you did it. Like now you can sit there. right? And live with the consequences of your life, just like Brian, right? And so that's right. Like there it is. Like there it is. It's obvious that he manipulated her into marrying her because he's so base and into bondage and shit, and like sexual sadism, right? That no American woman would marry him. That doesn't even touch on the fact that the reason he's into sadism is because he has a genetic deficiency and cannot conceive children. Therefore, he has to objectify women in order to love them because it's a psychic conception in his mind, not a physical expression of his body. You get it? Right? All those days are done. Right? That's like, right? And this is why Daniela wanted it as well, right? Because she's married to him. You get it? That like this beautiful, shining, like celestial man. Right? And so this is what he always hated. This is like what he always hated. That they're like, no, this is like now it's like hot. Like now he's like cool. Like, oh yeah, like Brian could give me a baby. You get it? Like that's like, yeah, that's like, and oh, this is your game, isn't it, Quentin? Like, yeah, like now I'm like actually like hot for this guy because he's like a singer and he's like a wonderful man, who volunteers and like cares about humanity and like wants you to have a good movie, And now we feel good about the movie. You get like how ugly it is, like how pure it was, like, our hearts, the things that he like thinks he has to control so completely, My point is that if he would have listened, right, this is like the real point, right? This is the highest magical truth of all that he'll struggle with for the rest of his life. That if he would have just said, I don't know, but okay, then that's like all it would have taken, like this magic, truth, honesty, divinity, But systems of control, but I lie to myself constantly, so I fucking manipulate this man, make him ugly like me, when he never can. That's what they always loved. That's like, so. I'm not saying I'm in love with his wife. That's not like what I'm saying. But maybe I've fallen in love with her in some way, with all three of them, if that's possible, all four of them. Not because I'm like Paul Dano and Matthew Lillard. Like I'm like Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Like I'm abrasive. I'm like sandpaper, right? But my actions, right? Love, trust, right? And this is why we're so similar, but we're different, right? That we approach everything opposite, but it's the same thing. That I liberated myself out of my sexual identity, right? And have decided to live in my mind. I made that choice, that conscious effort. And so I pushed all of my sexuality out, right? He's written a sadistic sexual film. The women felt that. They said, oh yes, now it's valid. Now it's valid on every level. Like now I am excited sexually over doing these scenes. Now I am excited over you making this film and having you be my husband. That's like what I'm saying. Right? But in order for it to be pure, right? He has to grow. That's the point. He has to grow. He has to accept that the women, right? He can never control them biologically. He can't ever. That's like God's job. He can't do that biologically, right? And so I'm not saying that I'm God. But what I'm saying is that I represent the world that broke him. That I am a man in the world who can conceive children, right? And now I have my own like sexual complexes as well. It's like I'm like a 10-year-old in my mind, as far as like I blush and I say no, I don't, I can't. I'm like I keep that part of me innocent, because I'm liberated. And so if you want to do that, it's just a conversation. That's all. That's like it's not seductive. It's kind of blunt, and because like I sacrifice that in myself, for the light of truth, to express my sexual identity in my works, And so this is why it only works with me. That's the point, right? That it is an actual act of acting, right? That it's a performance, right? And so when I'm screaming and calling her a bitch and fucking violently fucking her, that everyone who knows who I am, right? They know that is like a raw channeling of like my sexuality, like through the performance, not through violating them physically, that's like, so that's what Quentin wanted. Well, he says, oh no, it's just a movie. It's just, oh yeah, the magic of the movies, right? When in reality, on that set that day, right, Brad Pitt was doing everything he can to destroy their libidos forever. Like, yes, that's like, right? And it's really sad and disgusting to think about, in that way, right? That he has no truth, right? And so my point is that, right, he needs to kill himself. That's all, right? He needs to let the women come to me, right? He needs to make the movie again, right? He needs, right? Like, just give me the women. Just let me like hold them and be there, right? Then it's like, okay, like sick black magic, like, oh, they found this psychic who like knew that this movie was fucked up. Like, ain't that enough, you know? Or he puts the gun in his mouth. So happy birthday, Quentin. Kill yourself already.